ladies, I have a special treat for you to get to meet Miss Nola Peacock. She works with kids, and that is something that is near and dear to my heart, and I'm sure it's going to be near and dear to your heart to hear about her special mission and the work that she does. Welcome, Nola.
Thank you so much for having me, Odiva.
Yes, yes. And I must say, I love your pink. Ooh.
Thank you. Need some color. It still feels like winter where I am. So
Yeah, yeah, same here. So you bring out the peacock in you.
Mhm.
We're bringing out the peacock in you. Tell us a little bit about the name of this business.
Well, just I use my name when I was younger. I didn't like it, right, when I was a kid because kids made fun of me. But yeah, now I absolutely love it. I think, peacocks are so beautiful and confident. And of course, the peacock colors I absolutely love. It's funny, when I was a kid, those are the colors I always colored with. So yeah, so I love using my name and the peacock feather and
Isn't it the funniest thing that kids will make fun of the most beautiful parts of you?
right?
Kids
Yes.
used to make fun of my smile, and so I stopped smiling for decades. Yeah, and then I had to reprogram myself and realize, hey, this is what's unique. Yeah. Um, so let's talk a little bit more about kids and your mission with them. How did it start?
Well, I have always loved working with kids. So I started teaching piano when I was 16, just word of mouth, and always had more than enough students. I loved it. But I realized that, I mean, it wasn't about the piano, it was the mentoring, right? They would come from school and I'd say, how was your day? And I would hear all about it. And so, spent lots of time with that. And then I was also a pediatric oncology nurse. And I loved it. Some people would say, how could you do that? How could you work with kids? But I knew that I could make a difference, and and working with the family and getting to know them. So I love that. And then when I had my own kids, I really wanted to be at home with them. So, stayed at home, and I wanted to be just the best mom that I could be. So I always did lots of reading and took workshops, and did was tried to be up to date on all of the right things to do. And then when my son was about 15 or 16, he started struggling with depression and was actually suicidal. And we had been he had been seeing a psychologist and doing all the things that I knew to do at that time, and it just wasn't enough. And one day when we had gone out for dinner, and it was actually for my birthday, and this friend of ours, this older woman, started to give my son heck for not going to school, because he just couldn't face going to school at all. And I was sitting across from him, and I just saw the look of devastation on his face, and something inside of me just snapped. And I thought, that's it. Other people don't have a right to judge.
Mm.
Um, and he'd been through a lot emotionally. And there was something deep inside me that knew he needed to do the healing, and that was way more important than going to school. And yet, everybody was on me. You got to get him to go to school. That was, and I just thought, okay, that's it. We need to find a way for him to heal. So I started to listen to my heart and to my intuition and to my son. So I would spend, lots of time just sitting with him sometimes, even if he didn't feel like talking, just so that he knew that, I was there and I cared. And then he loved music. So I, got him a new guitar and a journal, and he started composing his own songs and writing lyrics. And that was a way for him to start to move through and work through his feelings. And slowly he started to talk to his friends again, and play the cross, the things that he loved to do. And then it took quite a while, actually, for the school. We tried all kinds of things, but eventually, right, he got a degree as a mature student. So he taught me so many things about that there's always an answer. We don't have to follow along and do exactly what, society sort of lays out for us. And I want other kids to know that. And, when my son was going through that, I would hear too from other young kids, piano students or, friends' kids, and they would say, "Oh, I hate my life. I don't want to be here." And I had a friend whose, son was 9 years old and was cutting himself. And that it broke my heart. It's like, okay, so it's not just my son, not just me that's been a horrible mother, right? Because I felt so guilty and ashamed. It's like there's so much going out there, and I thought I've got to do something. I've got to help these kids and give them skills and tools so that they can manage what life throws at them. So
Wow,
that
this is so precious.
came from. So
You've given just in just this short few minutes, you've given us so many gems
mm-hmm.
to think about and meditate on. You
Mm-hmm.
talked about trying to be the best mom that you could be. You talked about the guilt that surrounded it. And that guilt, I mean, I find for women, guilt can drive a huge part of our lives, of our actions, of our decisions to, and it can also drive people away. And what you have done is you moved towards your son and
Mm-hmm.
met him where he was, where there's so many people, their kids get on drugs or their kids get in trouble, and it drives them away. And it's not because they don't love their kids, it's because of this guilt factor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I
And
think not knowing what to do sometimes, right? And it's,
yeah. And
yeah.
another gem that you gave is that society, medical doctors, and other friends of the family are judgmental and they're saying this is what you need to do and this is what you have to do, and they get right in your face almost, and then you realize no, it's not about them, it's just
Yeah.
me and him.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I did a workshop once my son was doing well. I wanted to share some of these things with other moms. And I did a small workshop in my home. And at the end of it, my son happened to come up. His bedroom was downstairs and he came up and so some of the lady says, "Well, can we ask you questions?" And he's like, "Sure." So he sat down with us and this one mom said to him, "Well, tell me what your mom did that was helpful and tell me what she did that drove you crazy." And I was like, "Oh no." Like what's he going to say? Because this was not rehearsed, right? I had no idea what was going to come out of his mouth. But I was so blessed because what he said was what helped him was that I honored where he was at. I met him where he was at and allowed him, right, to kind of figure things out, right, do it his way. And what drove him crazy was other people trying to push him to do things. And I'm like, oh, thank you, right? It's like, oh, I finally got it. So that's been huge. And it's like, yeah, it's so important to listen to our kids. They have so much wisdom inside
Wisdom.
themselves, right? And they know what's right for them. And if we just, kind of support that, it just, it works out so much easier, so much better.
Just taking a breath into that wisdom. He created his own world, his own space, and you gave him the space to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. And it's so simple. I mean, it may take patience and it didn't happen overnight, but it's a simple task of just being there as
Mhm.
is the start of it. And I've taught kids, and I tell the parents, I when I teach English and business people, they say, "Can you teach my kid as well?" And I'm like, "But your level is so high. Why don't you just spend 5 minutes with them, reading to them,
Mhm.
and it will help you as well?" And I really push for that because it's that nothing time. It,
Right.
taking your kids to the best schools and the best extracurricular activities and go on vacations. And no one has that nothing time to just sit there.
Mhm.
It's it's kind of sad, but
It is very true. Very true. You know what? Um, the most common thing that kids tell me that they want more of
mhm.
is time, one-on-one time with their parents. And it's like, and knowing that, right, I get kids to do their chores without being asked, helping parents to set it up. It's like, okay, if you help mom and dad with these things, doing your chores and stuff, then mom or dad will have more energy and time to spend with you. And it's like, and I've had kids, lots of kids like to bake and stuff, so they'll say what they want to do is bake brownies with their mom, or like it, and it's simple things, so it's not like they're asking for a trip to Disneyland or anything. It's just they just want to, or play Monopoly, the kids have said, or whatever, just having that, hanging out with their parents. And I think, right, it's a beautiful thing to see, the kids and the parents working together. And it's a win-win, because everybody's, happier and, less stressed. And
That's
mhm,
brilliant. Yeah, compared to oh, I have to bribe you to do this.
right.
And
Yeah.
I'm guessing, in the teenage years, they kind of act like they don't want to be around their parents, but they actually do. But it has to be on their own terms, like you said, their own space, um, with patience.
Yeah, lots of patience, and non-judgment. That's one of the things that, I say to parents when you're listening to your kids, is just like pretend you've got a zipper or duct tape, right? Because I get it. And again, it's not to put guilt, right? Because we all, I mean, I've yelled at my kids too, and right, and not listened. But if we think about it, and just how we would want, somebody listening to us, right? Not jumping in, asking questions, or we're saying I told you so, or whatever, right? Right, just listen. And then that's when, those gems come out of the kids, right? And they feel safe and secure. If they're worried about being judged or getting into trouble, they'll just, they'll be quiet. And so many parents say, my kids won't tell me anything. Well, there's usually a reason, because they don't feel safe, or that they know that they'll be supported. And I mean, kids know if they've done something wrong. It's not like right, it's just like, I mean, it was like me one day when I had a friend with me and I was backing out of the garage and not paying, close attention. And I happened to, my husband at the time he'd left for work, but the roads were really icy. And so he'd come back and parked in the driveway. So normally his vehicle wasn't there. Anyway, bumped it and, left a little dent in it. I'm like, and, of course it's
There's a
like,
word for that bumper kiss, yeah.
right. But, I didn't need him to get mad or to tell me, right, that I wasn't paying attention. I knew that, right? It would just, would be nice to go, yeah, accident happened. What are we going to do about it? And so I, encourage parents to do, like, how would you want to be talked to, or, listened to? And it makes
Mm,
a difference, right? Mm-hmm.
that is huge, yeah. Getting away from being a kid, we kind of forget what it's like, and then you start to take on the role of our parents, who were raised in a different time, so everything had to be, or they were taught to be. But yeah, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
And how long have you had this business?
I started back in, it's been about 10 years, I guess. And I did take a
Oh,
uh, little deviation, right, to work with women going through cancer. But my heart's always, my whole life has been with kids. I just love being with kids and want to make a difference there. So
and you definitely are. Um, so you took a little deviation, a little me time. What was that journey like?
I did. Well, in 2018, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So, there was the universe, given me a strong message. It was time to take care of me and not be looking after everybody else all the time. And, I knew, like, I was, even as a nurse and knowing all that I knew about cancer and chemo and radiation, I was still scared to death. And I thought, well, that's, being in fear isn't going to help. Right. And so I thought, I got to walk my talk. I got to do what I'm teaching these kids. So, it's like, okay, what are these simple things around mindset, right? And doing affirmations and visualizations and things. And I created things for myself as I went through. And I also, documented things and recorded meditations and stuff so that I could listen to them over and over. And so created a program for women going through cancer as well. So that was kind of my detour, because I knew that for me, when I go through things that are really difficult, the way that I know that I can push through and do it is if I can make a difference, like turn it into something positive afterwards. So, being able to help other women and, walk them through this difficult journey made it's like, okay, I can push through as long as, right, and looked at it, it's like, okay, what information can I gather, what can I share? And just, I thought there's got to be a reason that I was an oncology nurse and then, have cancer. It's like I can, bring those two worlds together. And so
it sounds like you did a lot of hand holding first for your kid, and then for yourself and other kids, and then for yourself, you kind of come alongside people, hold their hand, and bring them to the
yes,
other side. That's beautiful.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so honored to meet you. And you're continuing to do this work and grow it. There is no question about your passion
Thank you.
for the work that you're doing. Um, how do you see it growing and expanding over the years? Because it's always a journey, isn't it?
It is a journey. Well, I just see doing more group things so that I can reach more kids and parents. Yeah, because up until now it's been mostly one-on-one, and I absolutely love it. But it just, I'm just hearing more and more kids who are struggling and not being able to speak up for themselves, or just feeling bad about themselves. And that, whenever I look at a child, I see, I guess, their true self, right? Like even as a nurse, I remember, that would get, change a shift and you would get report. And sometimes the nurses would go, oh, this kid's difficult or whatever. Well, I never, ever found any of those kids difficult, because again, I met them where they were at, and I could get kids to do things that, easily, that other nurses would struggle with. And so I feel like that's my gift so kids know, I think, when I'm working with them, right, that it's like, oh, right, this person gets me. And I just want to be able to do that for more kids, because it breaks my heart. I mean, they should be happy and having fun, and right, not being stressed out and, worrying about things or feeling bad about themselves, because they're such gifts for us, for all of us. They're just, they
Isn't
hold my
that
heart.
amazing that, like, as adults and as women and even as business people, we start to try to train our intuition to make decisions, let's say in the situation of business or in our personal lives, and try to just open ourselves to seeing what's around us and what feels good and what we should be doing. But kids know this. They
They
just
do.
they
They
know
do.
this. And so when you walked into a room, they knew you were genuine,
Mhm.
and you didn't have to force anything.
Mhm. No.
And all the stresses and difficulties that they are projecting is from what the world is putting on them.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I always say that it's like we need to go back to being kids
Right. Right. Mhm.
to build
Mhm.
our business as well.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that's a very good, and that, I'm so glad you said that, because I mean, I do that when I work with other clients and stuff, right? I get them, part of it is visualization and taking their inner child and playing. And I've never thought about doing that with my business. So thank you for that, Jem.
Yes, do
Mhm.
it. I'm working on it myself. It is a journey. I used to be a daydreamer, so I got in trouble in school for not paying attention in the class. I was kind of paying attention. I was also paying attention to the little birdie that was walking across the windowsill. And I was just absorbing so many things. And I was smiley. Like I said, the kids made fun of my smile because I had crooked teeth, still do. And I was just in this dream world, and it was so beautiful. And now, when someone tells me, hey, you could have this business and you can have thousands of clients and be changing lots of lives, which is what I want to do. But the visualization, it's like work to get it out there, which is something that came natural as a kid.
Wow.
So,
And isn't that something? Because I think back, and I was always, more serious and wanted to be the good student and all that. And I think, and I struggle with visualization, right? Just being able to imagine all kinds of things. And I'm thinking, oh, I wish I had been more like you, right? And you have the most beautiful smile. I know as soon as I got on with you, I'm like, oh my goodness, she's got a beautiful smile.
yeah, thank you. I
Right.
received
Yeah.
that. And yeah, so I just want to kind of go on that note. I won't say close because we're open. We're going to be open for the people listening to receive you and get the links to contact you and learn from you, parents and kids to learn from you. And I just want to implore everyone to reach back into that child, that, fun, innocent part of yourself that didn't have to ask so many questions for every dream they have. Oh, no, that wouldn't work. Or maybe that would go wrong with it. Just be open and dream and visualize and allow ourselves to step into the greatness that we already have.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you. Mm.
you are great.
Thank you.
And you have inspired me, and you're going to inspire so many other lives. I know, I know.
Thank you so much.
Yes, we receive you, and please receive our love from everyone that's listening.